Okay, so I've got my rum and Pepsi. I've got the next 3 issues of Champions. And oh boy. Okay. Sometimes when I do one of these reviews, I just kind of go off initial impressions. What am I seeing? How am I digesting it? So on and so forth. Other times what I will do is I will read ahead before I do this. And given what I have heard about Champions, I thought to myself, okay, this is one that I need to read ahead on, because I'm doing it an arc at a time to get through this quicker, just so I can get caught up. So, the next 3 issues of Champions, there's one that honestly is an afterthought. It's a halfway decent action comic. Then there's one that is like a slap in the face. And then the third one is still kind of a slap in the face, and is honestly so poorly written that I was genuinely shocked that Mark Waid had done it. So, let's go ahead and get into this. So the first issue that we're going to be talking about is issue 4, and I'm going to be frank. This is just a basic action book, and it's not bad in any stretch of the imagination. You know, some people don't like Humberto Ramos's art. I like it at points. This is one of those points I think was pretty good, but there are some panels that are just kind of busy. But the basic synopsis of this comic is that the Champions get shot down by a rocket launcher, and they're trying to figure out who did it. They find out who did it. It was Atlanteans. No name more to be found. Just Atlanteans who are guarding their borders, or so they say. So they get captured because Hulk's an idiot, and they make a dramatic escape. And that's really all there is to it. It's a standalone issue. It doesn't really do much for the team, really, than just show them getting out of a bad situation and working together. So it's sort of a team building thing. But it's not really something that I would say is like blowing my mind. It's not amazing action or anything like that. The real kicker to this comic is the ending, the very last page, where we see Gwenpool, of all people, sew the Champion's C on her uniform and saying that she's going to join the Champions team. Some of you are probably thinking, is it really that basic? Yeah, that's really all there is to it. Is a one-off issue about some teenagers starting to learn how to work together. That's really all it is. It's by the numbers. It's not bad, but it doesn't really stick out that much either. It's sort of like the second issue. It is what you would expect from a book like this. You know, you have the issue, what issue 2 was, where you've got the team getting together, you've got the team getting to know one another, and something zany happens. In this one, you have the team having to work together to get out of a crappy situation, and there is some hijinks because a member of their team is, well, idiotic. Here's what I find a little funny, though. So, of all the characters on this team, it is safe to say that Amadeus Cho is the most intelligent, yes? Oh god, I'm starting to talk like Death's Head. Anyway, if that's the case, why is he the biggest idiot on the team? That's one thing I find a little bit weird, is that Amadeus Cho, again, and this is a problem that Marvel has been having all around with genius characters, is that they write smart people like morons, as opposed to the actual kind of zany that you get from intelligent people. Because, here's the thing, hyper-intelligent people are usually bad socially, but they're not stupid. They're awkward socially. And I have yet to see a character that is intelligent really be properly shown to be awkward socially. You know, or to have some sort of a quirk that makes people around them just kind of raise their eyebrows. There's a scene in the first Avengers movie where Tony comes onto the shield helicarrier, you're probably immediately thinking of the one that I'm thinking of, but I'm going to explain it for the 7 of you who haven't seen the film. He comes on, and he's basically making fun of everything, right? It's the one where he walks up to Thor, and he pats him on the shoulder and goes, nice job, Point Break, don't be too disappointed, but I think you got a great swing, or something like that. And he and Banner start talking, and he says, finally, someone who speaks English. And Captain America goes, was that English? That's a good, smart person conversation, because they are clearly not talking in a way that other people around them are going to understand what they're talking about, because you have to be an expert in that field to really understand it. Another good example, I don't like Mark Ruffalo very much as a person. I think that, politically speaking, he needs to shut up, but he does play a very socially awkward nerd very well. If you look at his mannerisms, if you look at the way that he speaks, you can tell that he's a little out of his depth when it comes to social situations. That's the kind of way that you portray a genius character. The way that Amadeus Cho or Nadia Pym get portrayed, it's like they're just stupid. But they somehow, like they're autistic savants or something. Like, it's a little crazy to me that, I don't like it. I don't like that kind of portrayal. I feel that these folks have, never been around smart people before. Smart people can be neurotic. Smart people can be awkward. Smart people are very rarely stupid like this. So, yeah. So let's move on to issue number 5. So the internet is built on rants, right? People love hearing a really good rant because it kind of channels that feeling of, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. And I can understand that. I love that scene. But I really don't like to be put in a situation where I have to rant. I want to just enjoy something. Because as you guys can tell, in videos where I'm doing the Things I Love series, or when I was reviewing Venom comics, I was really happy. I really, really enjoyed talking about that because of how well done it is. I love that kind of stuff. Ranting, it's I'd rather be talking about something good, something enjoyable. So, yeah, it's an unfortunate thing that we're going to see next. So, you can see on the cover here that Gwenpool has arrived. And this might surprise you. I like Gwenpool. When I was reading Gwenpool, I thought, so this is a new character. I guess you could say she's part of the diversity initiative, but her comic is actually clever, actually intriguing, actually fun. So, I like the character of Gwenpool. I like the concept. It's a different take on the Deadpool idea. The Deadpool idea is that this guy is insane, and thus he breaks the fourth wall. With Gwen, she is from beyond the fourth wall, and has gone into the comic book universe, and thus she knows more. It's a really intriguing concept. I love it to death. And her book is really cool, and she's really just like a fish out of water. That's her whole thing. She's not stupid. And I really want to get into this because this is just infuriating to me. Oh! I'm also going to have a rant about the South, too. So, yeah. So we see on this first page a mosque on fire. Yeah. You can kind of tell where this is going to go. So, cops are yelling and saying to get busy. The sheriff says to wait as this building burns down. And we're starting already. Racist lawman. Ugh. I'm going to say this. I really hate this trope. I really do. Especially going a little bit further. So, we go to the next page and we see the champions rescuing people from out of this burning mosque. On the next page, we see the champions dressing down the sheriff. Saying, no casualties, luckily, enjoying the show, Sheriff stuttered. And then, immediately this guy goes to, oh, you're a mutant, thus you set the fire. And, God, I gotta get into this rant immediately. I have to. I have no choice right now. This sucks. You wanna know why? I'm really not a fan of the racist Southerner trope. Because there is an assumption, and I live in Illinois, so I know this assumption pretty well. You know, I'm originally from the Chicago area. But there is this assumption that once you go outside of the borders of Illinois, if you live in Illinois, or once you leave New York, or once you leave California, then it's Racistville. That's basically it. The rest of the country is all racists. The reason that I hate this is because most of the most kind and understanding and friendly people I have ever met in my life are Southerners. And that's exactly what this sheriff is. He's a Southerner. You want to know how I can tell? Because at the bottom of this panel, I think it's on page 4 or 5, says, typical big city slickers coming into our county like you're the experts and we're just a bunch of idiot hayseeds. You don't know a thing. I don't know many people outside the South who use the word hayseeds when describing themselves in a derogatory manner, assuming that's how somebody else is thinking. I don't know many people other than Southerners who have used that word around me. So, I detest this trope because it assumes that the South is stuck in 1960 and that it's still Jim Crow down there, and people are just rearing to lynch them a colored person. No, that's not what it's like. And I have testimony from actual Southerners that that's not what it's like. Now, am I saying that the South is devoid of racism? Of course not. I think that would be idiotic to say, but the North isn't devoid of racism either. In fact, I would say that there are certain parts of Chicago that are more racist than some of the people that I have met from rural areas in Georgia. And here's the thing. I've already gone on for a lot longer than I thought I would in regards to these comics. So, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give you a page-by-page breakdown. I'm just going to give you the basics here so I can talk about the thematic issues here. So, Gwenpool shows up, and she wants to help out, right? Well, here's the thing. She is assuming that because all these people are acting like racists or acting like bigots, that they have to be Skrulls. They have to be working with the supervillains, so on and so forth. For better or worse, they portray Gwenpool like she has no concept of good and evil. That she has no concept of what racism is, of what sexism is, of what homophobia is defined as by common parlance. It's not really defined like it is in the dictionary when it's used, from person to person these days. So on and so forth. Like, people just have to be motivated by the Skrulls, have to be motivated by something else, and so on and so forth. Look, I get it. The whole idea of social justice is that you feel the need to stand up and speak out against hate. And you know what? If you find me somebody legitimately hateful, if you find me a person who is legitimately hateful, I will stand next to you and I will speak out against them. And I have done so in the past and I will continue to do so in the future. Because racism is evil. Sexism is evil. So on and so forth. Hate should not be thrown at another human being. There's nothing wrong with hating ideas. There's nothing wrong with hating things along those lines. But this is ridiculous. I mean, this entire book is basically like putting in that all Southerners hate people of color. And you might say, well, Micah, maybe it's not the South. Okay, well, how do I take this then? How do I dissect this? That all white people are racist? Last I checked, Mark Waid's a white guy, so is he self-denigrating here? This is ridiculous. So, I'm just in a position where I don't get it. And what makes this comic book even more insulting is the idea that they are having Gwenpool act the way that she is. Maybe Mark Waid meant this as comedic relief. I don't know. But what I do know is this. It's not funny. It didn't make me laugh. Because Gwenpool is not acting humorous. She is acting like somebody who is completely and totally detached from reality. If she really knew comic books, she would know about one William Stryker. Some of you might not know who William Stryker is, so I'm going to fill you in. Or maybe you just know him from the movies. Well, in the comic books, this guy's a televangelist. A deeply racist, bigoted televangelist. If you want a book recommendation, read X-Men, God Loves, Man Kills, which is a wonderful title because it's very true. The fact of the matter is that there have already been racist allegories in comics, so why would Gwenpool not know about them? So what? Are we just to assume that just Gwenpool is that stupid? Because I don't think that her portrayal in the comics really matches that either. It's superbly upsetting to me to see this. The idea that you're just blanketing an entire skin color as evil, or you're blanketing an entire region as evil. I don't like it when anyone does that. I don't even like it when people do that to Muslims in general, because the gentleman who taught me everything I know about business and whose tutelage really helped me when I ran a business was a Pakistani immigrant who was a very good man, a very principled man, who worked very hard for his family, who came here to live the American dream. So I don't like blanketing anybody. I like to treat people like individuals. So, long story short, we find out that the racist sheriff is the one who planted a bomb inside the mosque to kill them colored people. And this comic sucks. Honestly, it sucks. Because again, it's painting people with a giant, wide brush, instead of making a nuanced story about bigotry in America. Marvel has done, in my opinion, the best work about bigotry in America. Chris Claremont's work is wonderful in that regard. This is so ham-fisted, this is so sloppy, that I have a hard time believing that Mark Waid wrote this. I'm very disgusted. And it gets worse. It gets worse. So in issue number 6, we find out that the champions and the good deeds that they have done have inspired people to start getting up and volunteering, getting up and doing great things. In most cases. I don't understand what this get out the vote thing is. Is this another vote for Hillary page? I think that would backfire on you, Mark Waid, because chances are in Manchester, Alabama, they probably all voted for Trump. Nice job. But they're doing that. There are people teaching self-defense in Brighton, England, which is a great thing, because it's rape prevention. You can tell by looking at it. In Slovakia, there are people building homes, I'm assuming, for the homeless. You know, those are good things. Those are great things. And it's cool to see that these young heroes are inspiring people. Until Spider-Man says, we're lit. Yeah. So anyway, they play paintball, and I'm going to get past that. Reason being is, again, it's by the numbers. Not bad, not badly written. It's just, it's there. It's a team-building exercise. If you like seeing team-building exercises in books like this, you're probably going to enjoy that part. You know, there's a couple parts that I think were fairly well done, and so on and so forth. But, again, it's still by the numbers. It's still what you expect from a book like this. And I think that if Mark Waid stuck to doing something by the numbers, this book would be a lot better than what it is, because it is so far below par that it's ridiculous. This guy is shooting like a 16. It's a golf joke. If you don't get it, I'm sorry. My dad's a sports writer. I used to golf, believe it or not. My short game sucked. That's why I gave it up. Anyway, let's move on. So, the corporations, man. They've made a return, man. And guess what? They got a team called the Freelancers, man. And they're gonna be evil, man. Like they're gonna go and they're gonna spray down a march for the living wage, man. Wait a minute. So, Republicans are now supervillains. Because it's Republicans who argue against the concept of a living wage, which is a whole different thing that Hatman and I have talked about on the podcast. So I'm not even going to get into it. But, so the bad guys are Republicans. Like, the next thing you see them doing is they're tearing up a homeless camp. And you got the corporate people, man, it's their champions, man. But here's the thing. 3 of these people in this group look like hipsters. Like, the guy with the Goonie man beard in the back, like, he's a dead ringer for Matt Hickey, the game journo rapist. And, like, that... And then the guy with the clean-shaven face looks like an alt-right guy. And then you've got 2 women in the background. Wow, man. Like, these do not look like a group of Republicans. I'm sorry, dude. You might want to get with your artist on that, Mark, because... yeah. Swing and a miss. So anyway, we go to the freelancers compound. And... you wanna know what they do to show how evil that they are? You know what they do? They invite a couple of bums over. And they use their powers to start bum fights. I kid you not. They use their superpowers to start a bum fight. All we need now is them in the background with their cell phones going, "World Star! World Star!" This is such a slap in the face. Like, this is such low-effort villainy. And you're basically trying to pin it on right-wing people. This is ridiculous. This is childish, quite frankly. I like this whole thing. We're the freelancers. Punching down is what we do. This is Marvel Comics. Like, all these people need to be doing is eating, like, baby sandwiches for them to be more blatantly evil. There is no nuance here. This is silly. This is cartoonish evil. Why are they acting like this? Why are these villains so boring and so blatant? Why is there nothing to this? And then, of course, they blame it on the champions, even though the people called themselves the freelancers. Screw this comic, man. This comic book is terrible. Like, it's one thing to phone it in, because that's what I thought the first 3 issues were. This is like turning your comic into the Pravda. I mean, I don't think I could think of any more of a blatant slap in the face to any reader who is not an Antifa-loving communist. And here's the thing, Antifa-loving communists don't buy comic books. They hate capitalism, Mark. This is terrible. I hate it. I freaking hate it. Man. Don't buy this comic. Again, like, I'm saying the same thing as I did before. I cannot recommend this Arc of Champions, this 3 issues, because, again, it's sloppily written. It's painting groups in real life with broad strokes, treating anyone who doesn't live in New York, Chicago, or California like they're subhuman. Like they're a bunch of the Crossed from Garth Ennis's book, that they just don't know how to behave. I'm sorry, Mark, but it's those people in flyover country that are buying your comics, or giving your sales numbers, not buying them. My name is Micah Curtis. I'll see you next time. Deus Vult.